I asked.
Is the agnostic position to say I don't know that any God does or does not exist? Is that the agnostic position?
Wait, I'm happy to answer, but I asked first. I want to know what the contradiction is. What propositions form the contradiction?
The contradiction is that they don't know that any God exists, but it follows from that Christianity is false, and since it follows from that, then they know the Christian God doesn't exist.
Wait, but so the contradiction. Sorry, I mean, it's going to get pedantic, so we can stop here if you want, but I don't understand
It's
what
a contradiction
propositions
by
form the contradiction.
implication. The contradiction is not explicit, it is implicit.
Right, but the contradiction is presumably P and not P. So I'm just wondering what P is supposed to be here.
Okay. The position is P, I don't know that any God exists.
Okay, and not P.
From that, Christianity is defined as God being revelatory. Okay? If agnosticism is true, then it necessarily follows the falsity of the Christian God.
But why is it relevant if it follows the falsity of the Christian God? How does that get to a contradiction?
Does it necessarily follow, if agnosticism is true, that the Christian God is false?
If the argument, I think so, if the argument is something like, if the Christian God exists, then everyone knows he exists. Someone doesn't know he exists, therefore the Christian God doesn't exist. Right? You could set up like a modus tollens like
you
that.
could put it that way. Yeah. Does it necessarily follow, if the agnostic statement is true, then it necessarily follows from that the Christian God does not exist?
I'm going with your interpretation of the God, but yes, I think so.
Okay. Well, then the agnostic then knows that at least one creator God does not exist.
How is it that, wait, but what are I'm still lost on what the contradiction is. Which proposition forms the contradiction?
Because the Christian God is defined as being revelatory and having made his existence known. If the agnostic truly does not know that any God exists, then the Christian God is false.
Yeah, but I'm not
Okay, now what you just heard, that was a conversation that Darth had with someone that goes by the name of Ask Yourself. Okay? The name of the video is Ask Yourself versus Darth Dawkins on agnosticism. It's on YouTube. Okay? Now, you just heard Darth. He agreed with Ask Yourself when Ask Yourself put it in a specific form. Darth agreed to that and said, yes, you could put it that way. Now, watch what happens in the conversation that Darth had with Tom Rabbit, because the same thing came up, the exact same thing. Watch this. Take notice of how Darth masterfully shifts. He shifts on his own definition or on his own conclusion. He shifts on something that he already agreed with Ask Yourself about. Watch this. And remember, Darth Dawkins is transparent, and he is a theist who doesn't lie.
Okay, how is it that God does not exist?
Right. Well, I'll tell you exactly why. If God exists, then I know that God exists. I don't know that God exists. Conclusion: God does not exist.
Okay.
By your lights. By your lights.
That doesn't follow then that there are no gods.
As Darth